And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much.
In a dramatic twist that has sent shockwaves through royal circles, Princess Anne appears to have secured a remarkable victory after lawyers reportedly uncovered the truth behind the long-disputed Sandringham access decision. The revelation is said to have left Queen Camilla completely stunned, raising fresh questions about influence, authority, and long-hidden royal arrangements. As new details continue to emerge, many are wondering what really happened behind palace walls. Could this unexpected development reshape long-standing royal dynamics? Or is there an even bigger story still waiting to unfold? So, what do you think? Did Princess Anne really win, or is there still more to this Sandringham story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal drama, please subscribe. Queen Camilla's Grand Modernization Plan. Queen Camilla reportedly believed the path was finally clear to move ahead with one of her biggest royal projects, a multi-million-pound transformation of Sandringham's historic West Wing. The plan was far more than a simple renovation. According to reports, she hoped to turn the space into the new global headquarters of the Royal Foundation, presenting it as a symbol of a more modern and forward-looking monarchy. Everything appeared ready to begin, and contractors were reportedly preparing to start work. But just as the project was about to get underway, everything came to a sudden halt. Princess Anne's legal team reportedly took swift action by serving an official notice that immediately halted all work and blocked access to Sandringham's West Wing. At the heart of the dispute was Room 102, the historic blue sitting room. To most visitors, it may appear to be just another elegant room, but for the royal family, it carries deep emotional significance. It was one of the final places where Queen Elizabeth II quietly carried out important royal duties before her passing. For Anne, the room is far more than part of a historic estate. It stands as a cherished reminder of her mother, making any attempt to alter it feel like erasing a precious piece of royal history. The disagreement quickly grew beyond an ordinary family argument. When estate officials reportedly challenged Anne's authority to stop the renovation, her legal representatives responded by citing the Crown Private Estates Act, along with confidential provisions said to be contained in Queen Elizabeth's final will. By moving the matter into the legal arena, Anne reportedly placed the dispute beyond the reach of a simple royal order, leaving King Charles unable to intervene without raising difficult legal questions about the protection of the family's private estates. The notice also set a firm deadline of April 21, 2026, the 100th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's birth, warning that the entire West Wing, including its private archives, could remain permanently protected. As reports described Camilla's anger over being locked out, one question continued to grow louder. Was this really just about protecting one historic room, or was Princess Anne trying to prevent something far more significant from disappearing forever? Princess Anne presented a legal document to stop Camilla from accessing and continuing her plans at Sandringham. But what could have led to this legal decision? Was it an impromptu move? Or did a series of events lead to this legal action? Now, let's uncover the carefully planned campaign to protect Queen Elizabeth's legacy. The secret buildup. What looked like a sudden legal battle was reportedly anything but sudden. According to insiders, the confrontation had been quietly unfolding behind palace walls for almost 18 months, with each new disagreement pushing Princess Anne and Queen Camilla further apart. Long before court papers were served and renovation plans came to a halt, a series of private moments had already laid the foundation for one of the most serious royal disputes in recent memory. The first signs of conflict reportedly emerged on September 8, 2024, during the second anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's passing at Balmoral. Reports claimed Camilla proposed replacing many of the late Queen's long-serving staff with her own team as part of a broader restructuring plan. Although Anne remained silent in public, she reportedly acted swiftly behind the scenes, reviewing estate trust documents and legal records to ensure her mother's legacy and its protections remained firmly intact. The tension deepened on December 15, 2025, during a reportedly tense meeting at Clarence House. The discussion centered on Queen Elizabeth's private letters and correspondence. Camilla allegedly believed those papers should be incorporated into her modern administrative system, while Anne firmly argued they belonged to history and should never become part of a communications operation. That disagreement marked a turning point. From that moment on, Anne reportedly stopped relying on informal family understandings and ordered a complete inventory of Sandringham's priceless collections. The situation grew even more serious on February 2, 2026, when archivists at Windsor allegedly discovered that 3 historic jewels, including the famous Vladimir tiara, had been digitally reclassified from permanent, sovereign property to long-term personal loans connected to the office of the Queen. To Anne, this reportedly suggested that the monarchy's history was quietly being rewritten. Then came March 28, after Camilla reportedly ordered the West Wing's digital locks to be replaced to allow unrestricted access. Anne's legal team responded within hours by securing emergency court injunctions that immediately halted the project. By April 5, Buckingham Palace had reportedly fallen into complete silence. Strict confidentiality agreements bound staff, and King Charles found himself caught between supporting his wife's vision for change and defending his late mother's final wishes. Anne observed a series of events that suggested Camilla had a personal interest in Sandringham, prompting her to act quickly. But isn't Camilla's position as queen enough to give her the authority to act as she wishes? Or is Princess Anne an equally formidable force within the monarchy? And what could have given Anne the upper hand in the Sandringham dispute? Let's find out. The Royal Legal Shield. Many people believed Queen Camilla's position as queen consort gave her the final say over matters involving the royal household. But according to palace insiders, this extraordinary dispute revealed something far more surprising. Inside the monarchy, a royal title does not always guarantee the greatest authority. In this case, centuries-old constitutional rules and carefully written legal agreements reportedly carried more weight than rank itself, allowing Princess Anne to challenge the project through the law rather than through family influence. Insiders claimed Anne relied on what has been described as the Iron Shield, a carefully structured, 3-step legal strategy that completely changed the balance of power. The first step was the role she chose to play. Rather than acting as an unhappy sister defending family memories, Anne reportedly acted in her official position as the executive trustee of the Sandringham estate, a lifelong responsibility said to have been personally entrusted to her by Queen Elizabeth II. Under British property law, this meant she was not simply expressing a personal opinion. She was exercising legal authority connected directly to the late Queen's estate. The second layer of protection centered on the Blue Sitting Room and the surrounding West Wing. According to reports, these areas had been designated as protected heritage spaces under confidential estate agreements. That meant no one could change their purpose, appearance, or structure without unanimous approval from the Trustee Council. By reportedly attempting to convert the rooms into modern administrative offices, Camilla may have unintentionally activated the very legal safeguards designed to preserve them. The final layer proved even more significant. Because Sandringham is privately owned rather than state property, long-established heritage, conservation rules reportedly place trustee authority above administrative decisions made by the reigning monarch or the queen consort whenever protected private estate matters are involved. In other words, Queen Elizabeth's written protections could not simply be set aside. The impact was immediate. On April 5, every digital access credential issued to Camilla's architects, contractors, and renovation team was reportedly cancelled. Security systems refused them entry, work stopped before it truly began, and the entire modernization project was frozen overnight. It was a remarkable reminder that, within the monarchy, carefully crafted legal protections can sometimes prove stronger than even the highest royal title. Several key factors empowered Princess Anne to deny Camilla access to Sandringham. preventing any changes to the historic property. But what makes Sandringham so significant, and what royal history is connected to the estate? Let's uncover the historic details. The heart of the royal family. Long before the legal notices, court filings, and growing tensions between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla, Sandringham had already earned a place unlike any other royal residence. To outsiders, it may look like another grand country estate, but within the royal family, it has always represented something far more personal. For generations, Sandringham has been the place where monarchs stepped away from public life and gathered simply as a family. It was here that traditions were created, private memories were made, and some of the monarchy's most emotional moments quietly unfolded behind closed doors. The estate's royal story stretches back to 1862, when the future King Edward VII purchased Sandringham as a home for himself and his new bride. Over the decades, it grew into the family's cherished retreat, famous for Christmas celebrations, shooting parties, and precious time away from the pressures of the crown. Queen Elizabeth II continued that tradition throughout her reign, spending several weeks there every year and regarding the estate as one of the places where she felt most at peace. Sandringham also carries the weight of royal history in a way few other residences can. It was within these walls that King George V spent his final days before his death in January 1936. 16 years later, King George VI also passed away there in February 1952, a moment that unexpectedly changed the course of history by making Princess Elizabeth the new queen. Few places have witnessed so many defining chapters of the monarchy's story. That history helps explain why the current dispute has become so emotionally charged. For Princess Anne, this was never simply about protecting another building or preventing a renovation. Every room at Sandringham carries memories of the generations who came before, especially the mother she spent a lifetime supporting. Any proposal to transform historic spaces into modern offices could easily be seen as changing the character of one of the monarchy's most treasured family homes. Whether that concern ultimately justified the legal battle or not, it explains why Anne appears to view Sandringham not as property to be updated, but as a living record of the family's history that deserves to remain untouched for future generations. Beyond Princess Anne's deep understanding of Sandringham's history, which strengthened her determination to protect it, what other factors did she consider before taking the key step? Could something have happened that made her fear for the safety of the monarchy's heritage? Let's find out. The missing royal artifacts. As Princess Anne's investigation gathered momentum, the focus reportedly shifted away from renovation plans and onto something far more troubling. What had started as a disagreement over the future of Sandringham's West Wing soon became a search for some of Queen Elizabeth's most treasured personal belongings. According to palace sources, Anne was no longer concerned only about protecting historic rooms. She now wanted answers about items that appeared to have vanished without explanation. At the heart of the mystery was a handcrafted red leather dispatch box believed to contain Queen Elizabeth's private journals, handwritten notes, personal papers, and confidential letters that revealed her most personal thoughts. During Princess Anne's careful inspection of the West Wing, however, the treasured box had reportedly disappeared. Its sudden absence raised troubling questions and fueled growing fears that an important part of the late Queen's legacy might have quietly vanished. Convinced that the disappearance could not simply be dismissed as an administrative mistake, Anne's legal team reportedly moved quickly. They formally requested complete security camera footage, movement records, and electronic access logs covering the northern corridor of Sandringham on the night of March 27. One source even claimed Anne confronted a senior member of the royal household with a sharp question, asking whether anyone honestly believed security cameras could be switched off without someone eventually noticing. The investigation soon grew into something much larger than the search for a single missing box. According to insiders, there were growing concerns that Queen Elizabeth II's personal belongings may have been deliberately removed, relocated, or reclassified in ways that could ultimately shape how future generations remember her reign. because many of these historic items are reportedly held by the royal trust rather than owned by any individual monarch. Moving them without proper authorization could represent a serious breach of trust under British law. With the April 21 deadline drawing closer, the missing dispatch box became one of Anne's strongest legal arguments. If it could not be located, speculation grew that she might have little choice but to request a formal police investigation, turning an already bitter royal dispute into an unprecedented constitutional crisis. Anne's discovery that Sandringham's security had reportedly been compromised, leading to the disappearance of her mother's personal belongings, strengthened her resolve to restrict access to the estate. But where did King Charles stand in the dispute? Did he support his sister or his wife? And why was a decision so difficult for him? Now, let's explore the monarch's hardest decision. Fuying's painful dilemma. As Princess Anne and Queen Camilla continued their reported legal battle, King Charles found himself standing in the middle of an increasingly painful family crisis. What began as a dispute over Sandringham had now grown into a conflict that threatened not only family relationships but also the stability of the monarchy itself. According to palace insiders, the king faced one of the most difficult decisions of his reign, with every possible outcome carrying serious personal and constitutional consequences. Officially, Charles was spending time at Highgrove House, following a demanding medical schedule and focusing on his recovery. Behind the scenes, however, reports claimed the peaceful estate had quietly become the center of urgent strategy meetings. Senior advisors, legal experts, and trusted officials were said to be working tirelessly, searching for a solution before Queen Elizabeth II's centenary celebrations on April 21. But despite countless discussions, no clear path forward seemed to exist. Anne's carefully prepared legal case reportedly left the king with only two deeply uncomfortable choices. The first was to strip his sister of her authority as trustee and executive of Sandringham. While this might clear the way for Camilla's modernization plans, it would almost certainly spark a highly public legal battle, placing the Princess Royal in direct opposition to the sovereign himself. Such an extraordinary courtroom confrontation could damage the monarchy's carefully maintained image of unity. The second option was equally painful. Charles could support Anne by instructing Camilla to withdraw her plans for the West Wing. Doing so would preserve Queen Elizabeth II's reported wishes, but would also publicly weaken the Queen Consort's position, raising questions about her influence within the royal family and strengthening those determined to protect the monarchy's traditional values. King Charles reportedly found himself trapped in an impossible situation. According to palace sources, he felt he could neither turn his back on his wife nor ignore what he believed were his late mother's final wishes. Meanwhile, the growing legal battle was said to be costing a fortune, placing increasing pressure on his private finances as the centenary approached. Despite countless late-night meetings and desperate efforts to find common ground, no solution emerged, leaving the king facing one of the greatest challenges of his reign. King Charles found himself unable to take sides in the dispute between his wife and his sister, unwilling to offend either of them. But what outcome could Princess Anne's legal move bring, and what would it reveal about where real power truly lies within the British monarchy? Let's uncover the intriguing details. Sanction's three possible endgames. As the April 21 legal deadline drew closer, palace insiders reportedly believed the royal family had reached a defining moment. Behind closed doors, advisors were said to be examining three possible outcomes, each carrying the potential to reshape the monarchy for years to come. Whatever happened next would not simply decide the future of Sandringham's West Wing. According to reports, it could also determine who would hold the greatest influence over Queen Elizabeth II's lasting legacy. The first and most dramatic possibility was an all-out constitutional showdown. If King Charles chose to overrule Princess Anne's legal injunction, insiders claimed her legal team was prepared to respond immediately by releasing a second confidential dossier. That file reportedly contained evidence suggesting Queen Camilla had used Sandringham's private maintenance budget to support the expansion of her own administrative operation. If those allegations ever reached a public courtroom, the consequences could be enormous. A lengthy legal battle fought during Queen Elizabeth's centenary celebrations could seriously damage the monarchy's carefully protected image of unity and stability. The second scenario offered a more peaceful solution. According to palace sources, both sides could agree to a private compromise. Under this arrangement, Camilla would still be allowed to establish offices within the West Wing, but strict legal protections would prevent her from moving, owning, altering, or reclassifying any of the priceless historical artifacts kept there. In effect, she would be permitted to use the building while Princess Anne's trust retained complete control over its historic contents. Yet many insiders reportedly believed the third outcome was becoming the most likely. They suggested Princess Anne was quietly gaining the upper hand, helped in part by Prince William's reported support. Motivated by his determination to protect his grandmother's legacy, William was said to have aligned himself with his aunt behind the scenes. If that alliance remained strong, Camilla might eventually postpone her renovation plans and step back from the public spotlight until tensions eased. Such a result could quietly transform the balance of power inside the monarchy. Charles and Camilla would continue representing the crown during official ceremonies, while Anne and William would emerge as the trusted guardians of Queen Elizabeth's private estates, priceless archives, and enduring historical legacy, shaping how future generations remember her remarkable reign. The legal deadline restricting access to Sandringham could become a defining moment for the monarchy. But will this legal battle bring the royal dispute to an end, or is a bigger mystery waiting to be uncovered? What lies ahead for the royal family? And could it expose cracks within the monarchy? Let's uncover the astonishing details. The crown's hidden mystery. While the legal battle over Room 102 continued to capture public attention, reports suggested an even more astonishing mystery was quietly unfolding behind palace walls. According to insiders, the dispute was no longer focused only on renovation plans or protected rooms at Sandringham. Instead, attention had reportedly shifted towards something far more valuable and deeply symbolic, one of Queen Elizabeth's most treasured personal possessions. If the claims were true, the entire conflict was about to enter an entirely new and far more dramatic chapter. Sources alleged that Princess Anne's legal team had intentionally left one explosive discovery out of its initial court filings. At the center of this hidden development was Queen Elizabeth II's famous 3-carat diamond engagement ring, the treasured piece of jewelry Prince Philip gave her before their marriage, and one of the most recognizable symbols of their lifelong partnership. According to reports, the ring had allegedly disappeared from its secure location, raising immediate concern among those responsible for protecting the late Queen's personal collection. What made the situation even more intriguing were the reported digital records surrounding the incident. According to palace sources, the last electronic access to the secure Sandringham vault was logged on the very same night attempts were allegedly made to replace the security locks protecting the West Wing. While no official conclusions had been announced, the timing alone reportedly raised serious questions for investigators attempting to understand exactly what had happened. The mystery deepened even further when investigators reportedly traced the movements of a private courier to a heavily protected storage facility in London. That discovery immediately sparked new questions. Who had authorized the transfer? Why had such an important royal item reportedly been moved? And perhaps most importantly, who now held the only key to the secure vault where the ring was believed to be stored? According to palace insiders, the answers were said to be contained inside another confidential legal dossier that Princess Anne's team was still preparing. If the information within that file were ever made public, many believed the consequences could be enormous. What had originally appeared to be a disagreement over the future of one historic room could quickly become a much larger battle over ownership, protection, and control of Queen Elizabeth's entire physical legacy. With the April 21 deadline drawing ever closer, the royal family reportedly found itself facing far more than a legal dispute. It stood at a historic crossroads where decisions made behind closed doors could influence not only the preservation of the late Queen's memory, but also the future direction of the House of Windsor for generations to come. So, what do you think about Anne's actions? Was she right to use legal backing to restrict Camilla's access to Sandringham? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.